good day and welcome to this newest edition of Tourismus Namibia. As always, we'll bring you quite a number of news items, and I, as Frank Stephan, will lead you through the show. First up, we'll obviously have topics, and under topics we'll talk about Lugard. He's what they call a Super Tusker, and he's died, and so it's quite a big loss to Kenya, I think. Then we also are looking at impressive. I just thought I had to share it. You can see today I'm a bit more relaxed about the news that I'm bringing you. And then we obviously have a look at the lioness at the Waterholes. That's the Waterholes river up in the northwest of Namibia. She was darted and collared, so we'll have a look at that a bit later. And then we also have another look at a lion who was trying to catch at least one giraffe. So we'll have a look at that a bit later. Then obviously under destinations, we'll have a look at Haus Schwerinsburg Guesthouse. This is obviously not the guest house, but it's the view from there. So we'll have a look at that. And then today, I will also talk a bit about live cams. Something that's been going on for a while in Africa, and I felt Namibia is not far behind that sort of trend, and you should share it, or I should share it with you. Anyway, and then under To The Point, we'll be visiting Max Muyemburuko. This is not Max Muyemburuko, this is Andreas Mawano, but it's all about what happened when we visited Andreas up in the north, way back when ReconAfrica started. So yeah, that's our show for today, and I hope we'll bring you some interesting news while we bring you all of this stuff. Up next, obviously, we'll first start with topics. Right, topics. Like I said earlier, Lugard. Lugard has been an elephant which died a bit more than a week ago, and you can see here clearly he's what is regarded as Super Tusker. I mean, he seemed to have some huge tusks on him. If you look at the other photos as well, I mean, I didn't even think that they could grow as large as that. He's one of quite a number, and on the site that I picked it up on, they say it's celebrating Lugard, one of Kenya's Super Tuskers. It is with a heavy heart that we say goodbye to one of Tsavo's iconic and majestic Super Tuskers named Lugard, who has just passed away from old age, which is quite good to hear for a change. In a determined approach to better safeguard these ambassadors of the elephant world, Tsavo Trust and KWS launched the Tsavo Big Tusker project 10 years ago with the goal of providing more security and protection to these legendary tuskers. And I mean, you can see on this picture, this guy is simply huge. So anyway, during a normal reconnaissance flight, they actually picked up on the carcass, and we're glad to find out that actually nothing bad had happened to him. It was simply a case of the man has died of old age. A beautiful animal by any standard, no matter what would you say otherwise. This is clearly not the nicest of pictures, but it was just to prove that actually there wasn't anything untoward going on there. Right, and that's Lugard. I don't think in Namibia we've got elephants with quite as large tusks, I must admit. So up next, I wanted to share a little video clip with you. If we can have a look there, it's Augrabies. Obviously being waterfalls down in South Africa, but it's simply huge and it's impressive. So have a look at the video. Yeah, quite an impressive amount of water that flows down the Orange River as it passes through the Augrabies Falls. And clearly that water has caused quite a lot of damage on all as it went down to Oraniemund. But on the other hand, you know, if we have water, we should be glad we've got it. We're a country who can really use it, even if it's only far down there in the south where probably most of it runs into the sea, but even then the guys along the river will certainly have their benefit in the foreseeable future. And obviously we spoke about it last week already. Right, and then finally, I still have a look here at this Desert Lions Trust Fund. Obviously, they allow us to share their, it's actually called Desert Lion Conservation Trust Fund, and they allow us to share their information and so on. You can see here the lioness. She was looking at the people who were going to dart her. So on the next photo, you can actually see the dart sticking out there, just behind her ear there. And clearly she was not impressed, but this is obviously all to the benefit of these desert adapted lions. That fund is obviously also working towards a better future for them, and they had obviously darted her, and then obviously checked her and put a collar, which is obviously a good thing because it improves her chances of survival, because those collars obviously are such that people are connecting it to an early warning system so that they don't hunt unnecessarily amongst domestic animals. But we've brought a little video just to show how she was clearly not impressed when she was started. Have a look. Yeah, a very interesting little video that I thought I should share with you, simply because it needs to be done. It's to the benefit of the people and the communities, so that you can detect them early as they approach domestic kraals and whatever. Right, and being on lions today, I took out this little video clip a couple of weeks ago, and I always wanted to show it to you, but somehow it just didn't fit in nicely with what we were doing at the time. But I think it fits in nicely today. Just have a look at this lioness who tried to hunt some giraffe. Just have a look.
Missed. I got it all.
Yeah, we were actually speculating here in the studio, and you know, at one stage, the lioness was very, very close to that young giraffe, and you would almost suspect if she just hit that hind leg the wrong way, it would have tripped the animal, and then it would have been a successful hunt. But I suppose on that day, it was the lucky day of the giraffe. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed those video clips as much as I do. Up next, we've got destinations.
The Regional Review brings you news, views, and interviews from NMH correspondents from across the country. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact regional@synergy.com.na.
Right, welcome back. But before I go to destinations, those of you who watched the show just now, you saw that little insert about regional review. Now, if you're interested in what's going on in Namibia all around the show, I'm talking of various regions in Namibia, then that's a show that you should watch for sure. And if you're not quite sure where to get it, similar to Tourismus, you can get it on our Facebook pages. Otherwise, you will obviously see under NTV, that's Network Television. That's where we store all our video content, even the older one. Well, I say video content, show content, I should say. So if that's of interest to you, clearly that's a show that you should have a look at. Okay, up next, we obviously wanted to talk about destinations, and this week we've got Haus Schwerinsburg Guesthouse. And this is what I tried to get right with this map. The top road is the one leading from the center of town towards Augrabies, actually Klein Windhoek and then Augrabies. And Windhoek obviously has these three castles. It was Schwerinsburg Castle, Heinetzburg Castle, and then Zanderburg. I just indicated them just so that you understand where this guest house got its name from, because you can see the road leading up to Schwerinsburg is that road, and therefore it's called Haus Schwerinsburg Guesthouse. There on the top, very close to center of town, yet far enough to still give you a real nice respite if you want something to be a bit quieter. And you know, it's very close to Delta School Windhoek, if that gives you a better indication, more or less. So on the internet side, they write an elegant guest house perfectly situated in central Windhoek. It is close to the most popular tourist attractions, central town and business center. The all-suite Haus Schwerinsburg offers luxurious accommodation in the center of Windhoek, a select and upmarket area of Windhoek. It is just a short 5-minute walk from the popular hubs of Windhoek, including the Christuskirche, which is obviously the German church. Then you've got the Old Fort, Alte Feste, Parliament Gardens, Tintenpalast, Heinetzburg, Schwerinsburg, Zanderburg, as I indicated earlier. Then actually quite close to a Whaler Museum, Craft Center, and Zoo Park. So choose from a variety of spacious, luxurious bed and breakfast rooms and self-catering options. So whether you're planning a romantic retreat, a business trip, or a family holiday, you'll enjoy absolute privacy at our boutique guest house, thanks to the rich and historic architecture dating back to 1925. So that's quite a nice little place to go to if ever you decide to do something different in Windhoek. But have a look at the video.
And here we are at Haus Schwerinsburg. We are getting inside, getting to know about this beautiful establishment. Now, if you're not excited, I'm gonna give you all of that excitement today. Today we are speaking to the founders or the owners of Haus Schwerinsburg, that is Ms. Anri and Isaac van der Merwe, and also get to see the beautiful rooms, the beautiful aesthetic that they have going on here. Now, if you're not excited, let's head on inside. Welcome back. Now, as you can see, I'm joined by Anri and Isaac van der Merwe. We are at Haus Schwerinsburg, and we are getting to know all about this amazing establishment. Now, if you guys don't know already, this place is breathtaking. The views are going to show you all about that. Can you start a little bit with some history about this place? How did it come about?
We bought this house. It was very old and neglected in 1999. And we started renovating it bit by bit over all these years, and we just raised our children here. We have 3 beautiful daughters, so we raised them here, and when they start moving out of the house, we decided now I think it's time to open up, because it's such a beautiful place. We wanted to share it with other people as well. And we love people, so, and it's very interesting to have different kinds of people all over the world here. And so, yeah, that's it happened over many years of hard work and putting the place together as it is for today.
Great stuff. So this beautiful establishment, from the time that you began, how has it been received by the locals and those that are international?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. I must say, if we look at the reviews we get, the people love the place, and they kind of appreciate what we have done here, and the homey atmosphere. And also because it's quite an old establishment. It was originally built in 1925, so it's almost 100 years old.
Wow.
So it was quite a challenge to renovate the place and to keep the old traditional, you know, that kind of feeling from the past, bringing it over into a more modern kind of scenario where we are now. And people appreciate that. So and they can feel, you know, the love that went into the whole renovation.
Oh, definitely. The features look amazing. I think we should dive a little bit into the detail. So what inspires your aesthetic and your features that you have decided to implement within the guest house?
I think hard. You know, many people ask me, because you know, you will be amazed of how many people will see the detail and they appreciate the detail. So, and you know, it's just in my heart. So I didn't realize from the beginning that people will really appreciate that, but they really see it and they love it. And I think if someone just put their heart into something and they do what they love, then this is the outcome. So I don't really think it's something we try too hard. It was just a happening. It was just how it ended. Yeah. So
It just happened magically.
yeah.
And something don't have to be perfect to be nice.
Yeah.
And I think the atmosphere created is actually what it's all about.
Great.
Because people like the intimacy and the way you communicate with them and, you know, interact with them.
Great stuff. So speaking about the location of the guest house, where can Namibians find you guys? If I'm around Windhoek and I'm looking for a beautiful, quiet place, and I'd really like to get some fresh air, where do I find you guys?
We have a website. If you just go on Haus Schwerinsburg, or even places where to stay in Namibia, they will find us on bookings.com, and we are working on our on the what do you call it, social media as well, on Twitter, not Twitter, but Facebook and Instagram. So we are currently getting that also updated. And so yeah, that's where they will find us, and then we're welcome to just pop in and say hello and make a booking with us.
Great stuff, and I can tag you guys on social media. I can show, you know, the beautiful views from here. So speaking about the establishment once again, what are some of the great features that you have to offer for, you know, your visitors?
I think the space and the view over Windhoek, the pool, the private areas, the balconies, and then also the nice spacious rooms, which I don't know if you will ever look at maybe.
Oh, definitely.
Sunsets.
And the sunset, yeah, we have the most beautiful sunsets, and especially in Namibia, I mean, that's a big thing. And even if you start getting into the rainy season, and every evening is different, so it's quite a spectacular view to have here from the stoep.
Okay, so if I'm a visitor at Haus Schwerinsburg, do you have a restaurant? How do I get my food, my dinner, my lunch? Do you have breakfast included?
Yeah, so basically all our bookings comes with breakfast included, and then on special request we can serve dinner, but I mean that is not included, so that's only, like I've said, on special request. We don't do any lunch, although we can do light also on request.
Only for our bookings.
Yeah, only for our bookings. So we're not like a restaurant. It's mainly a bed and breakfast. But now because we get a lot of business people, sometimes they would like to have dinner here at the residence, so then we can offer that.
Great stuff.
With a nice glass of wine.
All right. So we just spoke about the rooms in a blink of an eye. But I want to get to know, do you have any special attention that you've paid to the rooms to say you have come up with a different theme, or do they have different names? How are they distinctive?
Yeah, we try to stay true to the building. You know, it is an old historic building, And I think in Namibia we have enough lodges with animals and all that stuff. So we try to just enhance the historic idea. And so we took some of Christine Moret's art paintings and enlarged them and put them into the rooms.
Oh wow.
So it's really beautiful. You know, it's part of Namibia's history that I think one cannot wipe. It's part of us, it's part of the history, and we all learn from history, but we need to take it from there and make the most of it. So that's why we took the historic history and bring that into our rooms and just enhance it with our furniture. Our furniture, we will see it's a mixture between old classical stuff, furniture with a little bit of modern, and it's just classical, you know. And we really try to make it as neat, and we are really proud of it. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I can imagine. I mean, the views are still breathtaking. I'm looking out. You can see the city outside. You can see the beautiful buildings. You can see birds are running around. All right. So I think that has come to the end of this interview. But can you speak about the guests that you have? What are the many guests that you receive? Is it mostly locals or is it international guests?
I must say, I think at the moment it's 90% is international, mainly from Europe. And then we also get a few business people from South Africa. At the moment, very few local people. But I think it also depends on the season. So it's quite seasonal. So at the moment, I mean, since after COVID, we only really started picking up in numbers since August. And that's actually the international season. So we'll see now what happens next year. Because we're quite a new establishment. So I think the local market will also start developing. So we'll manage it and see how it goes.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, I will just want to say that the Namibians are also we're welcome here, and we love what we do. And I think as Namibians we really try to give it back to Namibia, to make Namibia give it more character. So if each and every one of us in this country just do their part of making this country beautiful, this where they are, then can you imagine what a beautiful country we would have? So, and we need to share it with the world, because I think we are a very beautiful and special
It's a
country.
privilege to live in Namibia.
Yeah.
And only start realizing it when you start speaking to the international guests. Then you start looking at your own country through a different view.
Alright, so we're looking forward to having more guests in December. The festive season is approaching. I wish you guys so much good luck. And I wish that, I can also come here, have a glass of wine, relax by the pool and have great views. Thank you guys so much for staying tuned and staying intact with this interview. We'll see you just in a bit. We just saw the great views in the great establishment that Haus Schwerinsburg is. Now I'm glad that I've been here to visit to get to see the amazing features. If you guys are not as excited as I am to visit this place, I don't know what you're doing, but definitely it's one for the books. I've seen the rooms, I've seen the dining area. It's beautiful. The pool is behind me. Could this get better? Thank you guys so much for joining me today and learning about this beautiful historic place and having to know all about its background and its rich tradition that it has and the great detail that we can appreciate. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Right, and that was Haus Schwerinsburg Guesthouse. And then up next, I wanted to talk to you about something else that you generally see in South Africa. These two red little dots that I inserted there are two places that I visited to just do a little extract for you in terms of live cams. Now, what you can do is if you simply search for live cams in Namibia, I literally inserted live cams in Namibia, then you already come to quite a number of choices. As you can see there, the two that I visited was the live stream in the Namib Desert and the Okakuya Resort. But that was simply just to give you an indication of what's going on. So if we have a look at the video quickly, you can actually see there's some background noise while it plays there. So in fact, you've got a live camera in the real sense of the word, with live sounds of the animals. Actually, if they come quite close to the camera, You can literally hear them snort and do what they do. I actually went back on those cameras, and it was quite nice to see you can go quite far back, so you can actually look at stuff that happened last night and then fast forward again to the next scene that's of interest to you. So this was clearly the one of Namib Desert Lodge of Gondwana Collection, Namibia. And this second one here, you can see clearly something different and a bit further away, not as close to the water hole as such, because it's obviously tries to get the whole water hole in. That is from Okakuyo Resort Wildlife Waterhole. So both are live streams, this one in Etosha National Park, obviously, and the prior one being from the Namib Desert. So very interesting stuff to go to and see. Maybe once in a while you just want to have a look, and these days it's really nice. Most of your home TVs allow you to actually do it live on the internet, and so it's something totally different if you want to have a look at something else, and if you can't afford to fly all the way to Africa to visit these destinations. I just thought I'd share that with you. Right, and those are actually our destinations for today. Up next we've got To the Point.
Sunset News is a daily news show focusing on national headlines as well as international news. If you'd like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, please contact sunset@synergy.com.na. Sunset News. Don't end your day without us.
Right, most of you have been, or those of you who have been watching the show for a bit longer already, know that we've often spoken about ReconAfrica. ReconAfrica obviously standing for Reconnaissance Energy Africa. Here in Namibia, it's Reconnaissance Namibia, Reconnaissance Energy in Namibia. Whatever it is, when we started investigating what happened up there in Kavango with all that gas and oil exploration, we visited Andreas Mawano, who's here on the left. And on the right-hand side is Max Muyemburuko. He's very much involved on the local front with all the communal forests and the conservancy projects. And so if you look here, Andreas Mawano, I asked him to actually show or point towards the direction of the oil rig, which you can see there next to the tree. And it was, if you walked over, because I did walk over, so I know, it was no more than 150 meters, if it was that much. Clearly they had settled on his ground. That was still part of his farm. And you could see here, this was his Mahungu field. That's Max Muyemburuko standing there again. The Tourismus Namibia-broadcast can be seen there in the far background. We actually drove to his farmstead and found out what was happening. And at the time, the man was very unhappy, as were most of the guys so far who had to give it away. This was Chief Alsiku here on the left-hand side next to the tree. He's sitting, and his son was explaining at the time that they had not really heard anything. They had not been properly informed. Funny enough, though, they actually allowed ReconAfrica to later on start their third borehole on their site. So clearly, later on, ReconAfrica started paying the people. Here, you can't see Max that well. It was on another day. Here, that is his conservancy office, and he was standing there with his colleagues. He had actually shown me it was special offices built by GIZ and KFW in a project promoting up those northern areas. And so, lo and behold, this week we had NAPHA, that's the Namibia Professional Hunting Association. They had their AGM, and they suddenly decided to make him the Conservationist of the Year. That's now Max standing there on the right-hand side talking to these people, and clearly he had not expected what was happening to him. Here they had a photo of him up in the north, and this guy is really, he's got a huge amount of guts. There's no other way for it, because I know because I've been up there and actually saw what happens when these guys are running circles around you, and they've got the police which supports them all the time. I remember at one stage the police forbade us to do drone footage for no good reason, because we had all the right permits, but simply because they, as government, feel they need to support this private enterprise, which has really started most of its projects up there without having dotted all the, and crossed all the T's and dotted the I's. They've been all along not doing it the right way, and they continue to do so. So it was nice to see this week that Max was finally given a bit of credit for all the hard work he puts in there, actually to conserve that area and actually to make sure that his people, and especially the young generation, have a future up there without fracking or oil exploration having totally destroyed what good is in that area. So just have a look at the video. You can clearly hear that he's a bit taken aback by the fact that he was actually made this Conservationist of the Year. Have a look.
Me, the Honor Conservationist Award, my first reaction was a sense of embarrassment. I was in a squander as whether I deserve such a great honor. I must confess that I am still somewhat puzzled, and I am most humbled by this award. After my initial hesitation, however, I decided to accept the honor, not least because the award is not so much the recognition of my achievement as a nature conservator and executor, as recognized of the board has accomplished over the past 10 months or so. I thank you, NAPHA, very much.
Yeah, once again, I wish to congratulate him, because it's an honor well deserved. And this guy's very hardworking, very passionate, and very knowledgeable about what he does. I remember telling you at one stage that he was actually sent to Nigeria to have a look at what happened there with the oil industry being getting busy in the delta, and actually showing what sort of damage is created by the oil industry if they're allowed to do whatever they do without having to conform to any rules. And there's a very real danger that something similar could happen in Namibia, up in the northeast. I'm not principally shooting down any gas and oil exploration, but that particular project, it doesn't gel well with what we stand for in Namibia, where conservation is entrenched in our basic setup and how we work. So really, there's no space for that, not as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, that was the only part where I brought you a bit of good and bad news, depending on how you look at it. I think it was good news as well, because Max really, deserves that. And what pleased me is that this week we were able to bring you more good news than bad news. It wasn't all about sensation, but rather about a good feel that I had presenting this show. So I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and we'll be seeing each other in another week's time, same place. And until then, look after yourself. I'll be seeing you. Bye.